I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that y'all are here. Usually, when I'm up here, I'm going for laughs, but I look at you people eating, and I'm thinking maybe I should try to get somebody to squirt mashed potatoes out their nose or something. But thank you for your time and your money. I think it's very cool that it's a date night. I love to take my girlfriend on date nights, and I've been married to her for 38 years. So, but I'm still dating her, trying to win her over. You know, when David was talking about some of the things the foundation benefits, you realize the power of prayer, and I know it firsthand in my life because not long ago, my mother's flip phone finally broke. We've been praying for that 14 years, so don't give up. Things will happen on God's time. And so we ended up getting my 86-year-old mother her very first iPhone. And if you were to say to me tonight, hey Jeff, would you rather teach your mother how to text or teach your dog how to wipe his butt? I would say, hand me the toilet paper. Let's give that a shot. Teaching my 86-year-old mother to text has been a little bit of a challenge. And my daughters, bless their heart, they're texting her, trying to encourage her and everything. And she called me not long ago. She goes, I have a question. I said, what is it, Mom? She goes, what is low? I said, Mom, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said, Jules sent me a text, and at the end of it, it said low. I said, how you spell it, Mom? She said, LOL. I said, that's not low. I said, that's laugh out loud. I said, what young people do, since they text so much, instead of typing everything out, they'll just use the initials. So IDK is I don't know, OTW is on the way. I said, that's how they do it. Oh. A few weeks ago, I get a text one night from my mother. IYGTTGSINSK. I'm like, oh God, Mom's had a stroke. I called her up. I said, Mom, what did you just text me? She said, I was doing like the girls do. I said, if you go to the grocery store, I need some ketchup. Well, of course you did. Why didn't I see that? But, you know, with my comedy, people always ask, where do you come up with stuff? And I don't look for stuff. I assume if I think something, or my wife says something, or my family does something, other people are thinking and saying and doing the whole thing. And then COVID hit, and I went 2.5 years without getting to do this at all. And I really missed it. I missed traveling. I grew up in Hapeville, Georgia. I'd never been anywhere through comedy. I've been to all 50 states. And my wife will cherry pick my gigs and decide where she wants to go. And then all of a sudden we didn't go anywhere for a couple of years, and she really missed the travel. So when it became evident we weren't going to go anywhere, my wife ordered like 4 or 5 travel magazines, and she was kind of living vicariously through them. So one night I'm sitting around the house and I'm flipping through one of those magazines, and I saw an article in there that was written by a woman trying to teach other women how to pack for a 10-day trip using only a carry-on suitcase. Let me repeat that. A woman packing for 10 days using only a carry-on suitcase. And I thought, what woman is she talking about? Barbie? My wife couldn't pack for a nudist colony in a carry-on suitcase. And now the airport only lets you take 1 carry-on. Well, if I'm with my wife, she has 2, and I have whatever I can fit in my pockets. But I thought it was interesting because we live in a world where people try to make everything you say sexist. I thought the article was interesting because it was only written to women. She didn't say men. Because I think men could you do 10 days in a carry-on? I could. You might be burning the socks and the underwear, but I could do it. Because I think most men pack like I do. This is the way I pack. I go in my closet and I think, okay, I'm going to be out 3 days. 3 days means 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 shirts, another pair of blue jeans in case I spill something on these, toothbrush, razor blade, ready to go. 10 seconds of well thought out packing. That's how I pack. Now, when I go on vacation with my wife, and let me say this up front, I love being on vacation with my wife, because my wife is a lot more friendly on vacation than she is at home. Something about having numbers on the door improves her attitude. Same woman that won't look at me twice at home, you get numbers on the door, she is hanging the trapeze before the bellhops to the ice machine. Love being on vacation with this girl. It's getting to vacation that is the problem, because it takes her longer than 10 seconds to pack. In fact, it takes her days to pack. And I finally figured out why. It's because she has outfits. Not a man in this room has an outfit. My wife's got an outfit for the airport. This is my airport outfit. Doesn't bind, doesn't cling. Shoes are easy on, easy off through security. I love this airport outfit. She has an outfit picked out for every single day we are going to be gone, plus additional outfits in case we go out somewhere nice to dinner. She's got sleepwear, swimwear, exercise wear, lounge around wear. So there's a ton of clothes that have a shot at making her vacation team. So what she will do is, about 3 days before we're supposed to leave, she'll start pulling clothes out, and she'll lay them on the bed like flat Stanley mannequins. And she just stares at them. Sometimes she'll call me and, come here, I need your help. Okay, I am down to these 2 outfits. Which one do you like the best? One on the left. Are you kidding me? What's wrong with the one on the right? There's nothing wrong with it. I like that one on the left. I knew I shouldn't have called you. I love the one on the right. You know what? Now that I really think about it, I love the one on the right. No, you don't. You're just saying that. Now I don't know what to do. I know what to do. I'm going to go jump in front of a bus. Why don't you stand here and stare at this for a while? See, because with me, once my clothes are packed, I'm packed. With my wife, the clothes, that's just the foundation. Her packet, it's like an archaeological dig. There's many, many layers to it. Because once she has the clothes picked out, now she has to go back and pick out the jewelry that goes with each particular outfit. These ladies are like, yes, she does. If you watch court TV, that's what they call the jewelry selection process. Next level is the shoes. He just got the jewelry selection process. I can take as much time as you need, honestly. The shoes take a long time. She spends longer picking shoes for vacation than we spent picking names for our children. I mean, my wife loves shoes. I hope to God she never has to choose between me and her shoes. Because I can see the surgeon going, well, Miss Foxworthy, we can save Jeff's life. But in order to do it, you would have to get rid of all of your shoes. He said he wants to be cremated. I'm going to need some new shoes for that ceremony. Next level is the electronics, because one time we went somewhere and the hotel didn't have a hairdryer. Well, that was a world crisis. So now my wife never packs a suitcase without packing a hairdryer. But then she'll pack a hair curler and a hair straightener. I'm like, they cancel each other out. Then she packs that lighted makeup mirror where one side has 12 times magnification. Nobody needs to look at their face magnified 12 times. At 12 times magnification, a wrinkle looks like an irrigation ditch. A blackhead looks like a manhole cover. And God forbid she find a chin hair. You're not getting a girl out of the room that sees something on her chin that looks like the anchor rope to a battleship. I'm telling you that right now. Do you know I've never, ever looked at my face in the 12 times magnification mirror? All right, to be completely honest, a couple of times I did get out of the shower and I paused in front of it just for a minute. Buenos dias, señor enchilada grande. Next level, total feminine phenomena is the just-in-case level. Like my wife will always pack a little raincoat and a travel umbrella just in case it rains. I'm like, baby, I checked the forecast. There's less than a 5% chance any day we're going to be there. Okay, fine. I don't know what you're going to do if it rains. I do. I'll probably go back inside. She always packs a sweater or a light jacket just in case it gets cold at night, as it so often does in Orlando in July. Anybody else have a wife or girlfriend that will, this is what my wife will do. She will take a little soft-sided collapsible suitcase and pack it inside of the hard-sided suitcase, just in case I buy something. And I've never looked in that soft-sided suitcase. I'm willing to bet there's a smaller soft-sided suitcase inside of it. She'll always pack like a gallon Ziploc bag full of medicine, just in case somebody gets sick. One time I'm playing in Buffalo. It's like February. They had snow up to here. I have a little bit of a headache. I go and zip the medicine bag. We've got malaria pills. Thankfully missed the great malaria outbreak in Buffalo. And I said, baby, I love you to death. I said, this is where your packing just goes off the rails. So the next time we're getting ready to go on vacation, I walk in the bedroom and I caught her rooting through my suitcase. And she goes, She pulls out a 5-pound bag of oats, holds it up. She goes, what is this for? I said, oh, that. I said, that is just in case the 2 donkeys we're going to need to carry your luggage get hungry while we're gone. And actually, she packs light for airline travel as opposed to if we go on vacation in the car. If we go on vacation in the car, there's a fine line between packing and moving. But my wife and daughters, they think it is their job to fill that SUV to the top. And the way they pack would make a man lay on the floor and wet himself. They will bring out a bag with bread and potato chips, put it on the bottom, then put 3 suitcases on top of it. I'm like, let me do this, please. Because men care about, there's an art to packing a car, isn't there? Total art. My daddy could get a house full of furniture into the trunk of a Buick. Hold the jack, hand me the piano. I got this son of a gun, you know. And I'm like my daddy, too. Once I get that car packed the way I like it, I'm ready to go. Not my wife. I walk in the house like, all right, car's packed, let's do it. Oh, we can't go yet. What do you mean we can't go? Car's packed. Let's go. No, I got to straighten up the house. Do what? Well, I'm not going to be able to have a good time if I know I'm going to be coming back to a messy house. Why didn't you straighten it up the last couple of days? Because I had to pack. Which in a nutshell is why men die before women. Because we want to. You know, I think sometimes when people invite me to speak at their thing, I think people think I'm smart because I hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader for years. And that people always want to talk about the show. What was your favorite part of doing that show? I was like the part where they handed me the card with the answers on it. Because I didn't know any of that stuff. I'm an idiot. One night we had a lady on, she had a 2nd grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym, and she goes, oh yes, she goes, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My aunt and them came over for Christmas dinner. I'm an idiot. And when I started hosting that show, I realized just how many things I didn't know. So I literally got a notebook and I put it in my dressing room. And every day I would write down more things that I thought of that I didn't know. And they were stupid things. Like, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. All right, Ed, let him jump. All right, Ed, shorten it up a little bit. Give his girlfriend a free t-shirt. I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to him. Every time you go to the dentist, my dentist will be looking at my mouth like, ooh, you have not been flossing every day, have you? No, not every day. Let me think. The last time I flossed, you did it. I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open but change the 25-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it next time you go to the bank. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. Like, guess what? I don't know. You have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them a mint or a piece of gum. They never take it. They're like, oh, no thanks. Ooh, I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat turd you're gnawing on right now. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. You got these fat middle-aged guys. They look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit, and they've got sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal on, Doughboy, pedal on. I don't know why my wife continues to ask every year, what do you want for your birthday? What do I always want for my birthday? What's every man in here want for his birthday? The same thing every woman in here doesn't want for her birthday. Never one time has my wife said, you know what, this year, forget the flowers, forget the presents. Why don't you just lock that door and take me to Squeal Town? But it's what every guy wants. You could be visiting your 90-year-old grandpa in the nursing home and be like, happy birthday, Papa. Is today my birthday? It sure is. Well, help me get my pants off. I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. I don't know why in 2023 we still have jobs that we will call men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check out the noise? It's the man. Let's be, yeah, you never see this. Phyllis. Phyllis. Run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? Now, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it is the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. I don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat, because my dad wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Here, take my wallet, just shut that gap. I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I always end up being seated next to somebody that has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. So several years ago, Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Quick backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has hearing aids that she refuses to wear because she thinks they don't look good. But because she doesn't wear them, she can't hear a lick. She talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night, around Christmas time, we go to the movies. We're standing in the long line at the concession stand. My mother-in-law walks over to me and goes, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you're embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, yes, you've got to look, you know. Then I'm like, turn around, the guy's glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. Somehow I end up being seated next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have the hearing aids in. She sang every Simon and Garfunkel song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubbles' daughter. Or you can, I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? And my kids make fun of me. They're like, "Dad, don't ever stand up there and tell people things you don't know. If you don't know something, Google it." And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" You go, "Man, he looks familiar." And that was it. Now you watch TV, somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" Somebody takes their phone and goes, "He was the janitor on Joey." And there are a ton of things you can Google. But I try to teach my daughters, I said, what you don't understand is there's a lot of things you can't Google. There's things you only learn through life experience. I call them the facts of life, things you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit in the effort to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. Google won't tell you that. You learn that the hard way. Fact of life. Out of all of the cereals, Captain Crunch is the most time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you poured the milk on and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. Fact of life. You can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Speaking of wives, fact of life. If your wife hints that she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. Speaking of kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that fourth kid rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth, dummy. Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody acknowledges it. No, we just all take our roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. I'm sorry, God. It was just a joke, all right? Fact of life. Women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example. One night I got a text. The text simply said, "Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." I go through the house. I found my wife. I said, "Hey," I said, "just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Was he driving?" I said, "I don't know. I got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Were Carol and the kids in the car with him?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Were the people in the other car hurt too?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "Did they even have insurance?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "What hospital did they take him to?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, 'Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck.'" She said, "You don't know anything." "What do you know?" I said, "I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that he was in a bad wreck." Not holding anything back. That's all I got. Well, I have to get out of here because they have other things to do. And I have another show in November I need to get ready for. But again, thank y'all for being here and donating your money to people that's going to change their life. And I mean, that's the face of Jesus. That's why we're here, is to make other people love God, love each other. So thank you for doing that. And I have such a blessed life. I have been very blessed because I've loved what my gift was, and I don't know why I can do it. I can just do it. God gave me the gift, and I've been able to do a lot of things, whether it's hosting the show, I paint, I draw, I write books. But if you ever put a gun to my head and said, "Hey, you can't do but one," it would always be stand-up. I like seeing people. I like that instant reaction. The only negative thing I've ever found about being a stand-up comedian is you're on the road by yourself. And that's why doing something like the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was one of the most fun things I ever did, because it wasn't by myself. I was with 3 of my buddies, and every night we go, "Can y'all believe they're paying us to do this? This is crazy." And people always say, "I bet y'all have a lot of funny stories from when you were on the road together." And there are, but I don't want to tell one-on-one the other guys because they're not here, to give their side. But in conclusion, let me share one comedy road story with you about me. So COVID started in 2020. So the summer of 2019, Larry, the cable guy, and I were doing a bunch of dates together that summer. And when you do summer dates, they're almost all outside. You're either doing amphitheaters or country music festivals or, fairs. You're always outside, and you get used to being hot. We did a music festival in Phoenix. It was 112 when we went on stage. And the promoter was trying to make us feel better. He goes, come on, fellas, it's a dry heat. I said, so is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees, But I don't sweat very much. I mean, you can see I don't sweat when I'm up here. And so we do this show one night in the South. I'm not even going to say the name of the city because there may be a computer genius here that can get the footage of this. But we did a show one night, and it was not only hot, it was humid as rip. So 10 minutes in the show, I got sweat dripping off my nose onto the stage. 20 minutes in, looks like a wet t-shirt contest. By the end of it, I look like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I've never sweated this much in my life. And we usually don't eat before a show because it makes you feel kind of sluggish, so we're always hungry, when we get off stage. So I get off stage that night, and I'm in the dressing room, and I'm just pounding Gatorade and water trying to rehydrate. And I hear Larry the cable guy coming down the hall, and he slides into my dressing room. He's like, hey, let's go eat. And Larry says this a lot. And I usually go because it's fun to watch Larry eat. It's impressive. But I said, dude, not tonight. I said, I got too hot. I'm not hungry. I said, I'm just going back to the hotel and going to bed. He's like, yeah, right. Come on, let's go eat. I said, no, I'm not hungry. I got too hot. I'm not kidding with you. He goes, are you serious? He goes, I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you. What are you, 9 years old? It's not personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I got in the van. I got him to take me back to the hotel and got in my room. And probably a lot of y'all make your living on the road. You have your little routine. When I'm on the road, I like it really dark when I sleep. I like it really cold, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But when you're doing stand-up, you're in a different city every night. Every hotel room is different than the day before. So one of my tricks is I always turn the light on in the bathroom, and I'll shut the door. But that way, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to go, I can see that light. I know that kind of orients me, and I know where I am. And I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. My socks are wet. I've sweated that much, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping in wet underwear, and I told you I only packed 3 pairs, So I just peel them off, and I flop in the bed naked, and I'm out. Well, I wake up about 1:30 in the morning, and I really, really have to pee, probably from all the Gatorade and the water. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee too much to go back to sleep. You can't go back to sleep, but you don't really want to wake up. You just want to get it done and get back in the bed. So I get up and got my eyes half open. I see the light, and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall of a really nice hotel without a stitch of clothes on. And you want to wake up in a hurry, forget coffee. This is the way to do it right here. So I'm trying to think through it. Well, Larry's room was right across the hall from mine. And I'm thinking, thank God, I run over there and I'm knocking on the door. And he's not answering. And all I can picture him peeking through the keyhole and laughing. But as I'm knocking on the door, I hear the elevator ding. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a 50-50 shot. They're either going to get off and go the other way, or they're going to get off and come towards me. And sure enough, these 2 Korean guys, they're talking with each other. They get off and they start walking right towards me. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, you act like nothing's up. That's what you do. So I start walking towards them. Literally past them in the hall. Hey, how you doing? And one of them said something, which I really hoped meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras, and I'm thinking, where do I go? Well, at the end of the hall, they had that exit, for the stairwell, and I'm like, at least get out of the lighted hallway. So I jog down the rest of the hall, and I get in the stairwell, hoping there'll be like a trash can in there where I can take the trash bag out and wear it like over all of it. Get in the stairwell, no trash can, but at least I'm not in the lighted hallway. And as I'm trying to think through it, I noticed there's a couple of empty beer cans down in the corner. Well, the reason I got up in the first place was I had to pee. I have no idea how long I'm going to be locked out of my room, and I'm not proud of it, but I picked those cans up and I peed in them and I put them back. I felt horrible about it, but it was old Milwaukee, and I figured whoever cleans them up will go, yeah, that's old Milwaukee, all right. But it was a really nice hotel, and they had 24-hour room service. So my thought was, well, maybe somebody's left their room service tray outside their room, and I can get that big cloth napkin and wear it like a diaper, you know. So I'm going down the stairwell, and every floor I'm opening the door and looking down the hall for a tray. And I get about 3 or 4 floors down. I hadn't found a tray yet, but somebody's left a couple of pizza boxes outside their room. Well, to me, it looks like a folded tuxedo sitting there. So I run down there, I get the pizza boxes, and I bring them back, and I go down the last 3 or 4 floors and never do find a room service tray. But by now, it's really late. It's like 2 in the morning, and I get to lobby level. Well, I can crack the door, and I can see almost the entire lobby. I don't see a soul. I don't hear anybody talking. I'm thinking, all you got to do is be brave for 20 seconds. I put 1 pizza box in the front, 1 in the back. Walk up to the desk, the lady's working there. As I go up, she looks up and she goes, "Can I help you?" "Yes, you can." I said, "I have accidentally locked myself out of my room. Can I just get another key so I can get back in?" She goes, do you have any identification?" I said, "I do, but it's in my other pizza box." I'm like, "No, I locked myself out of my room. I got nothing." And she says, "I need to talk to a manager." And she goes behind the wall, and I'm thinking, she's not calling a manager, she's calling the cops. But it's 2 in the morning, I'm naked with a pizza box in front of my junk. Where am I going to go? Yeah, so they had a bellhop stand, like a podium, and I got behind that, and I'm just waiting on her. Well, as I'm waiting, all of a sudden the front doors to the hotel open up, and in walks Larry the Cable Guy and our tour manager. And I'm like, "Thank you, God, here's answered prayer." So they walk across the lobby. Again, I'm naked holding a pizza box. Larry does not say, "Oh my gosh, buddy, what happened to you?" He looked at me, he looked at the pizza box, he goes, "I thought you said you wasn't hungry." Just been sitting down here naked eating pepperoni in the lobby, you know. I said, "I locked myself out of my room." Well, about that time, here comes the front desk lady back, and now she's got a security guard with her. I said, "Larry, I need you to do me a giant favor." I said, "Tell her who I am so I can get a key and get back in my room." And he looked at me. He looked at her. He goes, "I have never seen him before in my entire life." And he got on the elevator and rode up. Thankfully, the security guard started laughing. He recognized both of us. He was one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. He got the magic key. He rode up the elevator with me and the pizza boxes, and we went down the hall. He let me in my room. I said, "Wait here." I went in and got my wallet. I gave him a $100 bill. I said, "Thank you so much. Please never tell anybody about this." And now I'm telling y'all for free. But I got back in my room, I put my sweatpants on, put a t-shirt on, made sure I had that room key in my pocket, and I waited about 10 minutes, and I walked back across the hall and knock on Larry's door. He opens the door, he's still laughing. He's like, he goes, "I told you I couldn't wait until you asked me to do something for you." I said, "All right, you got me." I said, "Are we even?" He's like, "Yeah, we're even." I said, "Well, just to prove I don't have any hard feelings, I went and got you a beer." Thanks, y'all. God bless you. Thank you for being here. And when we're at their house, we always have to sleep on the fold-out couch. Boy, that's a good night's rest, isn't it? Get that 1 iron bar under your skull, 1 under your hip bone, and that last one under your ankles. Sleeping on that thick, thick mattress. I'm eating bologna thicker than the mattress on the fold-out couch. And
boy, they keep that house a little warm. The inside of their home is about the same temperature as the bottom of a rocket when it's this high off the ground, and they walk around in sweaters. Is anybody else cold? Is it just me? Is anybody else cold? Hell, I'm naked on the tile bathroom floor, gasping for air. Well, I remember when I was in the 4th grade and the firemen visited our school, they told us that's where the last oxygen would be, right there next to the floor. I'm in the bathroom so long, my mother-in-law's beating on the door. Do you need a Correctol? You eat too much cheese.
You know what's sad? We have an entire generation that has no idea how to get dog poop off the bottom of their shoe. But when I was growing up, we played in the yard every day, and every day somebody stepped in dog poop. And when it was your turn, you knew what to do about it. You would hobble over to the curb and scrape the biggest part off on the edge of the curb. Then you would find a puddle and you would swirl the bottom of your shoe around in the puddle. Then limp over to the grass and do the brush stroke back and forth. Then you would find a little bitty piece of stick and you would sit down on the curb and you would pick it out of the zigzag pattern on the bottom. And you wore those shoes to church the next day. And nobody in that church knew you'd stepped in dog poop.
My next fashion rule, and this is for some of you younger folks out there. If your mother still drives you to school, you ain't no gangster, pull your pants up. The back pockets of your pants should not be behind your knees. And I don't know why I have to look at the underwear of every teenage boy in America. You know, when I was in school, if other people could see your underwear, it was because 2 bullies had cornered you on the playground and had yanked it up to your neck. Which is why, as adults, most men won't even consider wearing a thong because those are memories we're trying to repress. And my last fashion rule number 4. Guys, if you have back titties, I didn't know if you would know what I was talking about there. The kind of guys that are walking through the mall and nursing babies are going num, 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 num. Also, if your back's so hairy, you've been shot more than twice with a tranquilizer gun. Say yes to sleeves. I hope Larry is listening to some of this. Fashion rule number 5. And to this day, my mom gets upset if she sees me take a sip out of a beer. But when I was a child, she bought me model airplane glue by the bags full. I'm in my room trying to build models. I'm higher than AC/DC on the opening night of a new tour. Finally get the model put together, then my dad would give us firecrackers to blow them up with. And we knew they were safe because we had to drive across the state line to buy them from a man that had 3 fingers. Not on each hand, total 3 fingers. That's a good firecracker right there. You'll like that one. This guy can't operate a Bic lighter, but he's a demolitions expert. Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that said he was in a bad wreck. Nobody Nobody needs to look at their face magnified 12 times. At 12 times magnification, a wrinkle looks like an irrigation ditch. A blackhead looks like a manhole cover. And God forbid she find a chin hair. You're not getting a girl out of the room that sees something on her chin that looks like the anchor rope to a battleship. I'm telling you that right now. You know, I've never, ever looked at my face in the 12 times magnification mirror. All right, to be completely honest, a couple of times I did get out of the shower and I paused in front of it just for a minute. Buenos dias, Senor Enchilada Grande. So we leave Dothan and we drive down to my Uncle Wayne's house. Well, there's cars parked all up and down the street, so we have to walk down the street. Well, as we're walking up the driveway, there's a pickup truck in the driveway, and from behind it looks like somebody's passed out against the passenger window. I'm like, what the heck? I walk up next to the truck. In the passenger seat with a seatbelt on is a dead deer. You can't make that up. And the doors are locked. I go in the house, I said, what's the story with the deer in the truck? And my cousin Scott said, well, we hid it on the way over here, but I didn't want to leave it in the bed because I thought somebody might steal it. They think somebody's going to steal a deer at a family wedding. I promised somebody asked if I would tell this story tonight, and I promised I would, so I better do it earlier. I'm not going to remember that I said I would. Kind of getting to that age. Several years ago, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and one night I was hosting a benefit for the Children's Hospital there. Well, at the end of the evening, this couple came walking up to me, and the man said, hey, I bet you done heard every redneck thing. And I'm thinking, well, I've heard a million of them, but I love talking to people. I do. I said, no, go ahead. He said, well, my wife and I decided if we ever had the chance to meet you, that we had to tell you about the time we were down at her family's house, and while we were there, her brother got his nipple bitten off by a beaver. I said, you have my attention. Because you really can't walk away from something like that. Of course, you have to say, how did that happen? Well, they were happy to explain it. Apparently, his brother-in-law and a buddy were driving down the road in their truck, and a beaver ran out in the road, and they accidentally hit it. Well, the beaver went down into the ditch on the side of the road, and they decided they were going down in the ditch to find this thing because they wanted to take it to the taxidermist. Because we all know how pretty they look on a Thanksgiving table just holding that turkey up. So he said his brother-in-law went down the ditch, he found the beaver, he picked it up by the tail, and he said, look at it. It ain't cut up or bloody or nothing. Well, apparently, nothing is the word that brings a beaver back to consciousness. And at that point, the animal lurched out and bit his nipple off. Didn't bite it, bit it off. O-F-F, off. That is a new kind of hurt right there. And it is so rare that I am at a loss for words, but at that moment, the only reply I could think of, I said, I bet that is the only time in history the headline of the paper could include the words beaver and nipple and nobody be offended by it. Greatest food on the planet Earth, Louisiana, is as long as you don't ask a lot of questions. As long as there's a ditch on the side of the road, nobody is going hungry in Louisiana. I've eaten with my wife's relatives. She's like, man, this is great. What is it? They're like, you don't want to know. Put your little more hot sauce on it. Keep chewing that city boy. Come on, give me a clue. Does it swim? Does it fly? Maybe it do and maybe it don't. You just keep eating. I've seen them hit boiling pots with a wooden spoon going, get back in there right now. The shoes take a long time. She spends longer picking shoes for vacation than we spent picking names for our children. I mean, my wife loves shoes. I hope to God she never has to choose between me and her shoes. Because I can see the surgeon going, well, Miss Foxworthy, we can save Jeff's life. But in order to do it, you would have to get rid of all of your shoes.
He said he wants to be cremated. I'm gonna need some new shoes for that ceremony.
Back to life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People with one kid are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they grew in their own garden. By the time the fourth kid comes along, you're drinking a beer while you watch your toddler pull a milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Fact of life, the length of a woman's nightgown is directly proportional to the length of her husband's nose hairs. We're a little iffy over there. Fact of life, if you agree to follow somebody in your car going somewhere you have no idea where you're going, that person will run every yellow light and change lanes like somebody on the world's scariest police chases. Rule number 5. It is okay to wear a t-shirt with nothing written on it. I don't know what it is about rednecks. We never have to write a resume because you can learn everything you want to know about us by reading our clothes. You give me a redneck man's t-shirt drawer, I can tell you what kind of truck he drives, what radio station he listens to, who he roots for in NASCAR, what he likes to hunt, who his favorite college football team is, his philosophy on life, and where he went on vacation the last 21 summers. And you give me his windbreaker, I'll tell you what kind of cigarettes he smokes. Trying to cover up things that smell bad. And men spend billions of dollars on things that just smell bad. You give me and my buddies a bottle of dough-in heat urine, we can entertain ourselves for the weekend. So, your turn. My wife's always asked me, do I smell good? You like the way I smell? I mean, hell, if men have an odor... Generation. And what it was talking about was people like my wife and I that waited until our mid-30s to have kids. It said you end up kind of being an Oreo because you're raising your children at the same time your parents in their advancing age are kind of reverting back to childhood. So you got them on both ends. And I thought about it and I looked at my wife and said, you know what this means? This means we got 2 that are out of diapers and 2 that are going into them. And as bad as it was with the little ones, I don't think it's going to be any more fun with the big ones. I don't want to be sitting there watching football with my father-in-law going, Ed, don't you lie to me, Ed. But I got to thinking about this. There's a lot of similarities between kids and seniors. Like they both get discount ticket prices at the movie theater. They both have their own special menu in restaurants. You have to worry about both groups taking drugs. Because it's not just kids, seniors get a hold of some good stuff. Last time we were with my in-laws, I mentioned that my sinuses were kind of stopped up, and my mother-in-law said, do you want to stop the sniffles or not feel your head? She goes in her purse, pulls out a Ziploc, looks like it has Skittles in it, takes out a tiny green pill and says, say hello to my little friend. I took that thing, I woke up 2 days later laying in the backyard talking to Elvis. She's at the door going, get up, you baby, I take 4 of those and drive to the grocery store. The kids don't listen to you, the seniors can't hear you. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good. Which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she's not wearing it because if she doesn't have it in, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night, they come to visit around Christmas time. We go to the movies one night. Stand in line at the movie theater, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat. Which is bad for 2 reasons. 1, you are embarrassed to death. And 2, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look. Yeah. Turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. And you know what's funny is it's like in our country, you could be part of a group that you don't even know you're a part of until you see something about it on TV or read something about it somewhere. And one morning I'm reading an article in the paper, and it's talking about the Oreo generation. And what it was talking about was people like my wife and I that waited until our mid-30s to have kids. It said you end up kind of being an Oreo because you're raising your children at the same time your parents in their advancing age are kind of reverting back to childhood. And so you got them on both ends. And I thought about it, and I looked at my wife and said, you know what this means? This means we got two that are out of diapers and two that are going into them. And as bad as it was with the little ones, I don't think it's going to be any more fun with the big ones. I don't want to be sitting there watching football with my father-in-law going, Ed, don't you lie to me, Ed. But I got to thinking about this. There's a lot of similarities between kids and seniors. Like they both get discount ticket prices at the movie theater. They both have their own special menu in restaurants. You have to worry about both groups taking drugs. Because it's not just kids. Seniors get a hold of some good stuff. Last time we were with my in-laws, I mentioned that my sinuses were kind of stopped up, and my mother-in-law said, do you want to stop the sniffles or not fill your head? She goes in her purse, pulls out a Ziploc, looks like it has Skittles in it, takes out a tiny green pill and says, say hello to my little friend. I took that thing, I woke up 2 days later laying in the backyard talking to Elvis. She's at the door going, get up, you baby, I take 4 of those and drive to the grocery store. The kids don't listen to you, the seniors can't hear you. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good. Which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she's not wearing it because if she doesn't have it in, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night they come to visit around Christmas time. We go to the movies one night. Stand in line at the movie theater. She tapped me on the shoulder and said, don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat. Which is bad for 2 reasons. 1, you are embarrassed to death. And 2, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look. Yeah. Turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. When the girls were little, I had latches on cabinets to keep them out of the dishwashing detergent. My parents gave my brother and I a chemistry set. And Mom, Joey put ammonium sulfate in my eye. Tell him I said stop! You boys go play with the wood-burning kid. Better yet, go outside, get on the mini bikes and shoot the BB guns. Just a different world. Even the way we treat our kids' pets has totally changed. My daughters had this hamster, little white hamster. His name was Herman. And one day Herman's hair started falling out. A lot. And my wife got very concerned, and she said, you know, I think we need to take Herman to the vet. I said, baby, Herman cost $5. Perhaps it's time we let Herman loose out in the woods. Born free. And she started getting mad at me. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, when I was growing up, there was no chance. We had a $5 pet that was going to see the inside of a veterinarian's office. Very few of our pets went to the veterinarian. You know what happened to our pets? They ran away. I remember one time my brother and I found this dog. We brought him home and the dog barked all night long for the first 3 nights we had him. Then on the 4th day, while we were at school, he ran away. We had a cat that started climbing my mother's curtain. She ran away. I remember having goldfish that ran away. But my wife said, oh no, Herman is our pet. He's our responsibility. I'll take him to the vet. And she did. She took the $5 hamster to the vet. And $65 later, Herman's hair is still falling out. Herman looked bad. Herman looked like Edgar Winter on Rogaine. Yeah. And I said, $65? Hon, we could have bought 13 new Hermans for $65. I said, when your medical bills are 13 times what you're worth, either you are really, really cheap or you are really, really sick. I said, put it this way. I said, let's say your grandma went to the doctor and they told her it was going to take $13 million to make her well. I said, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me there's not a chance we'd be calling the kids downstairs going, girls, sit down, we have some bad news. Meemaw has run away. People start to laugh at that one, and then they feel bad about that. Oh, because you picture your grandmother in the woods. Is anybody else cold? Dude, by the way. Fact of life, if you wake yourself up with a snore, the first thing you do is look around to see who's laughing at you. Fact of life, when your wife or girlfriend gets tipsy, there is a very fine line between her talking dirty to you and sleeping like a hibernating bear. And by fine line, I mean about half a sip. You wait till we get home tonight, mister. I'm gonna tear you up. And once she crosses the line, you ain't getting her back. It's like the paramedics putting the paddle on a body with no head. You're wasting your time. Baby, wake up for like 1 minute. 1 minute, please. Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text said he was in a bad wreck. That's all I got. I ain't holding anything back. That's it. People pointing at each other here. Women have questions. I remember last year we had these friends going through a rough spot in their marriage, so my wife told me she wanted me to go play golf with him to find out what's going on. 8 hours later, I come home, she's waiting. Well, I said, well, we got to the golf course and we went to the driving range first, so we're sitting there hitting balls, and I say to him, I said, so how are things at home? And he said, ugh. That's my report. You didn't ask him anything else? No, we started talking about football after that. She's like, how can men be so emotionally unattached? I said, well, that's just the way we're wired. We can't afford to be emotionally attached. Not the way we talk to each other. This is the way men talk to our friends, the guys we love the most. A guy will be walking down the street, see one of his best friends and say, Mike, how you doing? I love that shirt. Did Elton John have a yard sale? What the hell do you weigh now? About 2 tons? Good God, dude, eat a salad, you bald-headed fat bastard. That's how we talk to our friends. I told my wife, if women talk to their friends the way men talk to our friends, y'all would never get out of bed. It would be fun to watch, so. Phyllis, is that a vein on your leg or a tattoo of the Amazon River? Judy, I love those stretch pants. Did you drop a bag of marbles in the back of them? Yeah, stretch pants are like George Washington. They cannot tell a lie. Fact of life, you'll listen much more closely to a butt dial than you will an actual phone call. When somebody butt dials me, I will stay on the phone like 10 or 15 minutes trying to catch them doing something. It's only paid off one time. I got a buddy named Perk. He's a carpenter. He wears this phone on a clip on his belt. So anytime he puts his hands on his hips, he butt dials somebody. So one day Perk butt dials me, and I don't have anything to do, so I'm just listening to him. And I can hear him walking around, and I hear a door open, and I hear a door close. Well, then I hear a lid go up. Being the mature adult I am, I go running down the hall. I find my wife. I'm like, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing. Put it on speakerphone. Me and my wife sit there and listen to my buddy urinate Halfway through it, we heard. My wife starts laughing so hard she wet her pants, which I think is God's way of saying, verily, verily, do not listen to thee that but dial ye. Fact of life, you do not want a kidney stone. You may want to fall wiener first in a badger hole, but you do not want a kidney stone. How many people have had a kidney stone? Oh, quite a few. How many people have fallen wiener first in a badger hole? All right, here's how I know you don't want a kidney stone. About 6 months ago, I'm in the tire store getting new tires for my truck. I'm at the counter paying for them. Feel great. All of a sudden, it's like Chuck Norris kicked me in the back. I made a noise. I was like, ah! I didn't say it was a masculine noise. I said it was a noise. About 10 seconds later, it hit me again. I was like, well, Dwayne, the kid that is ringing me up at the cash register, looks at me and says, and I quote, hey, I ain't no doctor, which caught me off guard. I mean, it did. Well, I just assumed that he was, and he didn't like wearing his stethoscope while he was changing the tires. He goes, I ain't no doctor, but I think you got a kidney stone because my brother had one, and that's what he acted like. And it's not that I didn't trust Dwayne's diagnosis, but I got to thinking, you know, Jeff, you have a little money. Why not get a second opinion? So I have a buddy that's a urologist, and I called him. I said, dude, I think I might have a kidney stone. He said, well, come in, we'll take an x-ray. So they go in and take the x-ray, and he comes out, and he thinks he's a comedian. He's like, well, I got good news and bad news. He said, the good news is you don't have a kidney stone. Bad news is you have 5 of them, and one of them is huge. Well, he then proceeds to give me an anatomy lesson. He said the stones form in the kidneys. He said they don't hurt when they're there. He said, but from the kidneys, they pass through a tiny tube called the ureter down to the bladder. And he said a big stone can be 5 or 6 times wider than the ureter. And the word stone, they need to rename it. It's misleading, because when you hear stone, you think smooth river rock, gently tumbling. A kidney stone looks nothing like that. A kidney stone looks like a ninja Death Star. It's got spikes and claws and blades and hooks, so it's not sliding anywhere. It is cutting through nerves and muscles and blood vessels. And he said passing a big one was the equivalent of trying to get a porcupine to walk backwards through a garden hose. So you could see where there might be some discomfort. And I really thought I knew what pain was before this. I remember when I was about 20, I'm spending the night at a buddy's house, and I got up in the middle of the night to go get a glass of water, and I didn't turn the light on, and I hit my little toe on their coffee table. I broke it 90 degrees sideways, knocked the nail completely off. I laid in the floor and said the F word 148 times in a row. Next to a kidney stone, that made that seem like a bubble bath with Jennifer Aniston. See, and the thing only hurts when it moves. You just never knew when it was going to move. I mean, you'd feel great. You'd be talking to people. People are like, Jeff, what are you working on? I'm like, well, I was just out in L.A. filming some more of the American Bible Challenge. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Hold my hand. Help me, Jesus. They're like, boy, he takes that show seriously, doesn't he? But the pain was nuts. I read online doctors that say it's the equivalent of a woman giving birth with no meds. Any women here given birth and had a kidney stone? And both. You've had both. Which one was worse? Giving birth. What about you? Giving birth. Here's my argument as defense attorney for the kidney stone. A year or two after having a baby, a woman will say, you know what, I'm about ready to have another child. You never hear a man say, well, I've about quit puking and crying. I think I'll drink a case of Coca-Cola and see if I can't work up another kidney stone. And when my doctor saw the big one, he immediately started writing me a prescription for Percocet. And I hardly ever take aspirin. I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time. I am not taking Percocet. Oh, you skinny mustache, bow-legged boy. When that thing started moving, I was eating Percocet like they were peanut M&Ms. I went from being Dr. Oz to Keith Richards in 3 seconds. And one night the pain was so bad, I'm telling you, I told my wife, I said, you got to take me to the hospital. The Percocet's not making a dent in this. So she drops me off there at the emergency room, and she goes to park the car, and I walk in, and I walk up to the desk, and the nurse said, so what's wrong with you? And I said, I have a kidney stone. And she kind of laughed. She goes, well, you're going to be waiting a long time tonight, hon. I said, no, ma'am, you don't understand. I said, I am in the worst pain of my life. She said, well, you just feel like you're going to die, but you're not. And I said, boy, you don't have a lot of sympathy, do you? She said, oh, you're looking for sympathy. Baby, that is in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. She said that. I looked it up later. She's right. I mean, it is. But she just hands me the clipboard to fill out. So I go in the waiting room. I sit down next to a guy that's got a knife in his head. He's got a knife sticking in his head. I'm like, oh my God, were you in a fight? He said, no, I have a kidney stone. I did this to myself trying to get to the back there. And sometimes when it would move, it would land in such a way it would block the urine stream, and then that ureter would balloon out, and it was the weirdest feeling because you felt like you were going to wet your pants, but then when you went, holy cow, did it hurt. So half your brain's like, you better go to the bathroom, you're going to embarrass yourself, you're going to wet your pants. And the other half's like, don't do it, it's going to hurt. And the kidney stone was like that Somali pirate in the movie Captain Phillips going, look at me, I am the captain of the ship now. I make the rules. And they had you pee through a strainer. Did they make you pee through a strainer? Because they want to find out what the stone's made of so they can take that out of your diet. So I felt like, you know at Christmas when you watch the old Rudolph thing, the prospector, Yukon Cornelius. That's what I felt like. Nothing. So y'all, this went on for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, every day I was in this pain. And you know, the thing would lodge and it'd block the urine, and then it would move and it would hurt. And then all of a sudden I hit about 4 days where I felt great. And I thought, well, did I miss it in the strainer? Or maybe I passed it. And so I went back to the doctor and they took another x-ray. Well, the thing had lodged right in a bend in the ureter next to the bladder. But because it was lodged, it wasn't moving, so it didn't hurt. And it wasn't blocking the urine stream. And I'm like, hey, let's leave it there till the Lord comes back. But the doctor's looking at the x-ray, he goes, I don't like where that thing is at. He said, I'm going to give you about a week to pass it, and if you don't, we're going to have to go get it. I have a question. When you say go get it, what kind of trip are we talking about there? He said, well, we've got this flexible metal cord that has a retractable claw at the end of it. He said, we'll run that cord up the exit-only ramp, through the bladder. He said, we'll grab that stone and we will drag it out kicking and screaming. He said, once we get it out, we'll put a stent in that claw, go right back in a second time, and insert that stent into the walls of the ureter, which by now, quite honestly, have lost the will to live. He said, we'll leave it in there for 3 or 4 days. We'll go back in a third time, grab that stent, and yank it out. And I am thinking, since they outlawed waterboarding, this has got to be what they are doing to get terrorists to talk. So where's bin Laden? I do not know. All right, well, we're going to get that little metal cord with a claw and see if we can't find a kidney stone. Oh, you sons of the beaches. He is living in Pakistan in a White House on the corner. The gate code is yeah. You will find him upstairs, last bedroom on the left. I'm telling you, the idea of 3 trips with a claw scared the willy out of me. I'm like, I'll do anything to avoid this. So I read online, they said cranberry juice might help you pass one. I'm guzzling it. I am jumping on the trampoline. I am doing anything to get rid of this stone and avoid the claw. And it must have worked, because a couple of nights later, my wife and I were watching TV. I got up at one point to go to the restroom, and right in the middle of it, I had just real quick, sharp pain. You know, it was like, ugh! Y'all, I looked down, and there is this black, spiky, little pea-sized marble rolling down the inside of the toilet towards the hole. And my mother always says, Jeff, you don't have to tell everything. And I'm like, Mom, there's good money in it, trust me.